Thanks for joining me today. We're looking at number 8, I believe, in 21 Lip Flexibilities for Trumpet by Nathan Ost. This is volume 2, number 8. And these are all a little bit different, but they also sound very similar. And so I'm always looking for ways to create variations, as I mentioned before. So we're going to look at an interesting variation today, but first I'll play through the first one, the first example, and there are 3 variations on just moving this this melody to different keys, and you want to try and get comfortable with all of them, obviously. So let's start at the beginning here. Okay, that feels good. It feels good to just blow free continuously, and that's how we learn to find our balance. It's one of the best things you can do. Now, it might feel a little challenging when you're moving around like this, but that's what lip flexibilities are all about. So I'm going to show you another one of my variations, and I've mentioned this in some other episodes, but I find this to be very useful. I'm going to displace the beat, which means I'm going to tend to feel the emphasis in a different place. So this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to play this, this pattern as if the first 8th note were a pickup. So it'll sound something like this. Got goofed up at the end. Yeah. And that's why I do it. So it kind of makes it jazzy. It makes it a little bit syncopated. That helps us to dance with the rhythm, which is more physical. And it's also challenging in another sense. Let's change it up so I can show you that kind of variation. This time I'm going to think of the first 3 8th notes as being the pickup. And the reason is, you see how the pattern works. So you have a minor 7th interval right off the bat. If I think of the first 3 notes as a pickup to the next note, the last 8th note in the first group of 4, now I'm putting weight on, feeling as if it were a strong beat, on the 4th 8th of each group, but that's the highest note. And that's when it gets interesting. Okay, I was better that time because I knew what I was doing. I strongly encourage you to don't take yourself too seriously, and give yourself permission to play around. Use your curiosity, use your creativity. Don't get lost in there. Always have an idea of what you're reaching for in terms of the musical quality or the physical beauty and grace of what you're doing. And a lot of that for the trumpet is internal. You can't see a lot of what we're doing, but it's kind of like high-level micro-gymnastics that's happening, and we need to be more in touch with that. So getting loose and playing around is a good way to get in touch with that. So many of us, especially if you're a professional player, you know that, well, we get paid to do this. And it's like being a professional athlete. If you get paid, then you feel obligated to perform at a certain level. Plus, you have professional pride. You have your colleagues, your friends, who you don't want to let them down. And so there's a lot of psychological and emotional pressure on us in that kind of situation, and so that makes it less fun. It makes it more pressure and less fun. I remember, and this will be painful for you New York Yankees fans, but I remember sitting in one of the upper floors of the Boston Conservatory, just about a half mile from Fenway Park, and listening to the game. And this was the 4th game in the 7-game series for the championship against the Yankees, Red Sox and the Yankees. And two of my students were diehard Yankees fans from birth. And the Yankees were up 3-0 in the series. And I said, Joe, what are you worried about? You know, all they got to do is win 1 game. He said, I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about this. And the reason why I brought this up is because Johnny Damon, who was one of the players at that time, said, yeah, we're just a bunch of idiots. They tapped into their ability to be kids again. Yeah, the pressure's there. Yes, you want to perform. Yes, you're striving to be the best that you can be. But it's not egoistic. It's fun. It's like, let's enjoy each other. Let's enjoy the game. If you can bring that into your practice, you're going to be a lot happier. And I know things get pretty serious sometimes, and they are. We are responsible. If you're a professional, you're responsible. If you can't perform up to what your expectations are, it's frustrating and painful emotionally. And many of us have been through that. I certainly have. So cut yourself a little bit of slack, take a vacation, and be a child. Okay, enough preaching for today. I'm going to show you how that applies to the next one. And this time we're actually going into the upper register. Now, I know there are physical challenges to this, so play in a range that's comfortable. But you really want to listen to what happens between the 2 different dynamic levels and be specific about it. So here, on the one hand, I'm talking about just be a kid, have fun, play around, you know, don't worry about being messy. And on the other hand, I'm talking about being very, very meticulous about what you're aiming at. Be clear in your own mind about what you're aiming at. Now, a little bit tight on that B flat, so I have to, don't worry about the B flat. Just play the C in the staff. Do you hear how the upper note is like 1 dynamic level higher? Now, I didn't measure that with a decibel meter. I hope I'm doing that. I hope it comes out on the recording for you. It's more of a musical concept thing. Do-dee, 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 do-dee. See how easy it is to do with that with your voice? That's precisely what we're trying to cultivate. The same degree of ease on the trumpet as with your voice. And these are great things to sing if you have the capacity. Just so you can say, do-dee, do-da, do-dee, 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 do-dee. It's very much the same mechanism. Only on the trumpet it's awkward because your mouth is closed. And it's not natural to use your lips as your speaking mechanism. So it takes a little bit of work, but it's definitely worthwhile. I'm going to see if I can get through this one. Interesting. It's all about learning. What did I learn from that? Well, I learned a lot about my lack of concentration. That's one thing I learned. But I also was having fun. Mainly, I was trying to listen. And one thing I learned, and this is going to be common to most trumpet players, is, wow, when I have to concentrate so much on how to physically play the trumpet, I can't really pay attention to the sound that's coming out of my instrument. And that's a huge handicap. So one of the greatest things you want to work for is actually hearing what is actually coming out of your horn into the room. I know it can be frustrating, it can be demoralizing, it can be, all this is connected to your ego. It can be very discouraging. It can sometimes make you want to quit. But I'm saying, no, there's a lot of information there. And I learned a whole lot just from doing this. So that's what I'm hoping that you will be able to discover how to do as well. So go practice, if not these, something else. Maybe Clark number 3 would be a really good place to start for a little bit of reasonable interval work. That's a great thing to put into your routine every day. But whatever you do, remember to be a kid. Like Johnny said, we're just a bunch of idiots trying to play this stupid instrument called the trumpet. And at least we have some fellowship going on in the process. Enjoy your practice. I'll see you later on. Have a great day. Bye-bye.